What if the most heartbreaking clue in a celebrity tragedy wasn't a photo, wasn't a video, but a message that reads like a quiet goodbye, a final note allegedly sent to a mother, filled with fear, confusion, and a chilling sense that something was deeply wrong. Tonight, we're not here to fuel rumors. We're here to unpack what's circulating, what's missing, and why so many people still feel the story doesn't add up. The first version of this story arrived with the neatness people often expect from official statements: an accident, a tragic fall, no confirmed sign of criminal involvement. For many families, that kind of conclusion would be the beginning of private mourning. But when the person at the center is a public figure, grief becomes public property, and closure becomes a negotiation between institutions and the crowd. What keeps this case alive is not simply curiosity. It is the emotional mismatch between a short explanation and a long list of unanswered feelings. People do not only ask what happened, they ask, does this account honor the life that was lost? When the public senses that details are missing, even if those details are private or legally sensitive, the silence begins to feel loud. That's the uncomfortable reality. The cleaner the headline, the more people search for what was cut out. And once a story feels incomplete, the audience's imagination does the rest. The questions that follow are not always reasonable, but they are predictable. Where there is uncertainty, people will attempt to create certainty, even if they have to build it from fragments. A message said to be Yu Menglong's final note to his mother has circulated widely online. Its authenticity has not been confirmed through official channels, and we do not know the original source with certainty. Yet it has landed with unusual force, because it speaks in the language of vulnerability rather than celebrity. What unsettles people is not just the content, but the relationship it implies. A mother is often the last safe place in a person's life, the one audience they do not need to perform for. So when a final message is framed as a confession of fear, isolation, and moral disgust at money that feels wrong, viewers instinctively read it as a moment of unfiltered truth. Even skeptical audiences can struggle to remain detached because the emotional shape of the message feels recognizable. The urgency, the shame, the plea to be believed. And this is why it spreads. It offers something the public rarely gets in a crisis: intimacy. It invites people to stop being spectators and start imagining themselves inside the story. Whether the message is real or not, it functions like a mirror. It reflects a universal fear. What if someone I love tried to warn me and I did not understand in time? Once a story becomes emotionally charged, the internet does not simply discuss it. It starts to process it like a live investigation. People collect screenshots, compare timestamps, archive posts before they vanish, and treat every gap in information as a clue. This is what creates the evidence loop. Speculation produces attention. Attention produces more content, and more content begins to look like proof. In this loop, even ordinary things can become suspicious. A deleted post might be routine moderation, but it can be reinterpreted as censorship. A private funeral can be a family's attempt to survive grief, but it may be framed as secrecy. Low-quality audio or unclear video can be misunderstood, yet the very blur becomes fuel. Viewers fill in the missing pixels with their own assumptions. The danger is that the loop rewards certainty, not accuracy. The boldest claim travels farthest. The most cautious explanation gets ignored. And because many sources are anonymous, accountability disappears. That is how online narratives can harden into truth without ever passing through verification. Still, it would be dishonest to dismiss the public entirely. The loop exists because audiences feel powerless. When they cannot access official clarity, they reach for whatever tools they have. The question is not whether the loop will form. It is whether we can stop it from becoming a weapon. In most viral coverage, the mother is treated as a symbol, not a person. She becomes the recipient of the final message, as if her grief is merely a plot device that intensifies the story. But if we step back, her perspective changes everything. Imagine losing your child and then watching the world argue over the meaning of his last days. Imagine strangers analyzing his private words, attaching motives to people you may not even know, and turning your mourning into a public referendum. In that situation, silence is not evidence of guilt or fear. It can be the last remaining form of self-protection. This is where audiences must confront an uncomfortable truth. Our hunger for answers can collide with someone else's right to grieve. Transparency matters in public cases, especially when questions remain, but dignity matters too. There is a line between seeking clarity and consuming pain. If the final message is authentic, then it is not just a piece of content. It is a mother's wound being reopened in public. If it is not authentic, then it is something even worse, a private relationship being exploited for attention. Either way, the mother loses twice, and that should make viewers pause, not because it ends the story, but because it reminds us the story is not ours to own. Update next. 24H will not compete in the race to sound the most certain. Instead, we will compete in the rarer skill, staying clear-headed when a story is emotionally loud. Responsible coverage does not mean cold coverage. It means we build trust with the audience by showing our working and naming our limits. First, we will separate the narrative into 3 lanes: what has been officially stated, what has been reported by named outlets, and what remains online circulation without verification. That structure protects viewers from accidentally treating rumors as confirmed facts. Second, we will focus on context. When people hear claims about missing posts or unclear recordings, we will explain the most likely explanations alongside the most alarming interpretations, so the audience can understand how misinformation spreads and why it feels convincing. Third, we will introduce a viewer-led questions board under the pinned comment where you can submit what you want clarified. We will not promise answers we do not have, but we will organize the public's concerns into reasonable categories: timeline, sources, inconsistencies, and what would count as reliable confirmation. Finally, we will keep the human element central. This is not a game. It is a case involving a real life, a real family, and a public struggling to reconcile grief with uncertainty. If you want coverage that's compelling, but careful, emotional, but fair, then you're in the right place. Please subscribe to Update X24H. Turn on notifications and share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. Thank you for watching, and thank you for choosing empathy over chaos. We'll keep following this story with clarity, caution, and respect. See you in the next video.